Hi. So today we have class and I'm happy to see you. As I promised, I was going to get you some videos for you to learn about how to go about the Excel. So stay tuned and follow the lesson. Feel free to pause the videos anywhere you want and then you can revisit the video time and time again so that you get the concept better. I want you to get the maximum out of this lesson. Right. So stay tuned and let's get started. Going to do is that you can click on the Windows button here, or you can search for Excel here. So I'm just going to use this one, the Windows button, and then this is Excel. This is what we'll be looking at. So launch it, and let's see what happens. Okay, it's loading. Good. So this is the Excel interface. Okay, and I'm going to explain every single thing here for us to know. Right. So when you open the Excel interface, you notice that at the ribbon side, we have the home button here. We have the file, we have the insert, draw, page layout, formulas, and all that. So all these things have their use. Okay. Now, we already learned that if anytime you are working with a file, you have to be saving it consistently. So let's quickly save this. Let's call this one I'm going to save it on a desktop for us to easily get it back. Okay. All right. Let me put it in my documents. I don't want it in OneDrive. Some more options. I need it on the desktop. Okay, desktop is here. So let's call it Excel um, lesson 1. Okay, right. So our file has been saved, and you've noticed that the name has changed here. So that's the first thing you need to do anytime you are working with a different document. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to do. Now, Excel helps you organize your documents so you can. It helps you work with numbers. It helps you work with words, like a lot of different things. It's just like a shelf. See it like your kitchen cabinet where you can put a lot of things. You can pack your Milo at one side. You can pack your fish or things like you see how you have boxes in your kitchen shelves or your fridge. How you have boxes and then you can pack things in it. That is how Excel is like. So this grid here, the entire face here, is the working area for the Excel sheet. And you can see that it is made up of columns. So when I say columns, columns are the A, B, C, D, E, F, like that in that order. And it goes, it doesn't have an end. Okay, it keeps going. You see, so at the end of Z, it starts with what? A, B, like that. So it keeps going. Yeah, so you can look at it like a very large notebook that can take in a lot of data. And then we have rows. So here you can see that I have this row, the second row, like that. Here also goes like that. Let me go down a little for you to see. You can see it keeps going. Beautiful. Now, each each cell, we call these things cell. Here, where I've just clicked, we call it cell. So each cell has a unique reference. So to call this cell, you can see that it is in the first column. It's in the first column and it's on what? On the first row. So we call this cell A1. Let me type it for you to see. So we call this cell A1. We call this cell A1. We call this cell A1 because when it's in the column A at the same time on row 1. And then we call this cell here, you can see that it has highlighted the F and it has also highlighted what? 14. So guess the name of the cell. Right, you're correct. So we call it what? F14. What about this one? Good one. So that's M19. Beautiful. So now you know what cells are. So these are all cells. Okay. All these are cells. And then we type in the cells. Like you've seen me type the cell names in it. Okay. So let's clear it and then we do something else. Now, the Excel itself is like your notebook. Okay. It has got how your notebook have a lot of sheets. Excel also have that. So this entire Excel we've opened that I've saved Excel lesson 1 is called a workbook. Okay, it's called an Excel workbook or a workbook. Okay, so your notebook, this is a workbook, and in your notebook you have sheets. So this area, this whole area, is called my sheet 1. You can choose to rename it. So let me call this one form 1. Okay, and then I can add another sheet. You see, sheet 2 comes, another sheet 3 comes, but then they all have the same layout. So I've just renamed this for you to see that you can decide to change the names of what the sheets. So you can call this one form 4. So you've also just learned how to rename the sheets. You just have to right click on the sheet and then you can rename it. So let's call this one form 3. Beautiful. So I hope we are making some progress. Right, so you've gotten the overview of what Excel is. Now, let's say that I've given you an exercise and then I want to record your marks. So here, let me say name of students. Okay, and then the first person, let's say peace, we have Sule, we have famous. Right, so we have peace, Sule, famous, Benjamin, Joel, great, prosper. Let me correct that. Prosper, John, Obed, Edem, Rebecca, Wanda, Daniel. So these are the names of the students. And then let's call this area the class tests. Okay, so class test. Right, so let's say Peace had a score of, right, let's say these are the results of the class test over 50. Okay, these are not your actual marks, these are just random marks. Okay, and then we write another class test. Now, how do I duplicate it if I don't want to type class test? So maybe I want to call this one class test 1. Okay, I can just drag here. You see that when I move it to the corner here, you've seen the test have changed. So I can just drag it to, let's say, class test 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that the names are already changing. Beautiful. Right. So but you can't see the text that are in it, can you? No, you can't. So there are 2 ways to do it. You can decide to highlight the column. Okay. Oh, sorry. Redo. All right. So you can decide to highlight this column, drag it a little so that you can see it full, like make more room for it so that you can see what is inside the text. Okay, but there are sometimes that the text is too long that you have to drag like this and it is too wide. Okay, I hope you are getting me. And a better way to do that is that if we have it shorter, let me undo them so that we can use the other thing. I can just decide to highlight these cells and then you go to click on home, the home button. Have you seen this thing here? It's called wrap test. So when I click on the wrap test, what happens? You can see that it has automatically moved some of the tests under so that I know that this is test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, test 5. Okay, so that is it. Now I want to fill in this area with some other marks. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. You can decide to type in some text and things, but there is another easy way to do it, which is called this function. You're going to use the equal to. So now we use the equal to sign to, to call a formula. Anytime you see equal to, that means we want to call a formula. So I just want to randomly like populate this area without typing each like the single cells. So I'm just going to say random. So you can see it has already brought out the function that is the random here. Yeah. So you can say random. Yeah, but I would like the random between. I'll explain why I want this. So I'm using the random between because I want to give it a range that, like, I want the lower number to be this and the highest to be this. So I want to set a range. So let's say my test 2, I marked it over 50 again, and then let me say all the students score between 40 and then 50. So the bottom here is going to be my 40, then the comma comes, so you see it changes to the top side there, and then my highest side is going to my what, my 50. So I close this, and then when I press, you see, whoa, it gives me 46. So then I can now drag to the side, and it has randomly given me numbers. Wow, that's so nice, right? Let's do the same thing for this side. So let's drag it here, and then let's say we've marked this test over 100. We've marked this test over 100. So we are going to, and the students score between 70 and 100. So just, we're going to change this side from 70 to 100, like this. Beautiful. So when I press enter, then I can drag here too again. Nice. And then you have randomly generated numbers. You get it. Now I want you to watch something. So let's say I marked the test 4 and 5 to over 100. I can just drag this over this to this end, and then it will populate it for me. The same thing, randomly generated numbers. Wow, isn't this nice? Now watch this. You see, any cell I click, something shows at the top here. So let me click on famous. When I click on famous, you see famous is shown at the top here. So I can change the name here. So let me change it to, let's say, birthday. Yeah, good. You see, so when I type here, it changes here. The same way, any cell you click, when you type within this function button here, when you type here, anything you type there, it shows in that cell. I hope you are following. Anything you type, it shows in that cell. So it simply means that as you're working in this cell, it is showing at the top for you to get a larger view of what is going on in that cell. Okay, so let me change this name. Right, famous is back. Good. Now, here were randomly generated numbers. Okay, and then here are just strictly values. So we can leave them like that, but I just want them to be all values so that it doesn't affect anything in the future, because I want them as values. So let me copy all of this side like this. Okay, you can copy it, and then you click in the first cell here again after copying. Okay, like this. I don't want the formulas to show, so when I right click, I'm just going to paste values, just values, and then there we go. So when I click any of the cell, you can see I'm not seeing equal to random something 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 again. So that is the power of what? The paste values. So there we have this things all generated. Now the key thing I want us to learn today is that we're going to look at how to sum all the results. If I ask you to add these numbers, you're going to say 30 plus this, plus that, plus this. That's going to take you a long time. Imagine we have a lot of numbers here. It will take you a very long time to do it. So this is what we are going to do. Let's call this one total total marks. Okay. And then we're going to use a function. So Excel have some pretty nice functions. So let's say equal to, and then you can say sum. Sum means you are adding. So you see, it pulls up a lot of the sum functions, but what I want is I want to add these guys. So you use the open bracket. Anytime you call a function, you need to use an open bracket so that you tell it where you are starting from and where you are ending. Okay, so here, watch this. I want to sum all the marks for piece. So when I click on piece, you see that the cell piece is what? Look at here, D, and it is on the fourth row. So that's what? D4. D4. Okay, and then I want to add all up to H. There are two ways to do it. Someone can say, I'm just going to use plus, like clear all this side, okay, and then you say plus, then you go for the next cell, plus, you go for the other cell, plus, you go for another cell, plus this, you enter, it gives you the total of the max piece had. But this is not the right thing to do if you have a lot of numbers, because it's going to exhaust you clicking one. So the simple and the fastest way we can go about it is using the sum function. So I'll just say sum, okay, yeah, sum here, and then I click on the first cell, then I use a colon. So the colon means that I'm going to add a lot of numbers, okay, like a range. So where it starts from is this guy, and then where it ends is this guy. So you see that when I first click this, the D4, and I brought a colon, and I click on the last one, which is the H4, you've seen that it has highlighted all of those numbers. That means those are the numbers I want to add. Then you close it, you close the bracket, you press enter. So there we go. And then you've gotten all the total marks for what piece. The initial formula we're using was equal to, and then we say 30 plus this plus this plus this plus this. The same result, right? Okay, so what about if I want to get this results for these guys? You can follow the same procedure, and then you get the answers for them, their total marks. But as you saw me drag the cell, Excel is very nice. It makes things working very easy. I don't have to call the function for all of them. I just have to drag, then it will calculate for all of them for me. That's all. So yeah, here we've been able to calculate for the total marks of all of these guys. So this is beautiful. Yeah, so we've learned about how to sum. You can use this option, or you can go for the sum if there are a lot of numbers. If there are just two or three things you want to add, like at different places, you can use this one. Like for instance, if I want to add test one, like I want to add the best two tests of the students, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to look at the highest, where they had the highest score. So here I can use the sum function, because the sum is going to add a range. So here you can just use the plus signs. So the best two scores, sorry, what happened? Okay, I deactivated some. So the best two score of the students, let's see for peace. Peace best score is 98, and then the second one is 97. So here I can just use the plus instead of the sum function. So I just say equal to 98 plus 93. Then I press enter, then I get the best score for peace. Let's look for the best score for Sule. Where is Sule? 99 and 92. That's some nice marks there, Sule. So we have this, that, plus this. Beautiful. Let's look for the best score for Famous. This 84 and 73. Right. So you've gotten the sequence of how to add the numbers, okay, using the sums. So for your first exercise, this is what I need you to do. Write this down. I'm typing so that you can get my question well. I'm going to put here, let me call this question sheets. So questions, right? So my question one, it's that what is the key difference between sum and plus in Excel? I need you to answer these questions in your group. Okay. Right, so I have these 5 questions for you. Pause the video. Let me zoom in so you can write the questions. Pause the video, write the questions, and answer this in your groups. So I have your groups already. You know your groups. Answer these questions in your groups. And then you would take pictures of what you've done. And then I need a clear written handwriting. You send it to me. I'll mark them and then send you your marks. Okay? Send it to me via WhatsApp. Now, the sixth thing I need you to do in the next lesson is that I want all the exercise you've done this week, okay, in your groups. So each group, open an Excel workbook on the laptop and then name it group 1. So you can call this group 1. Let me add some sheets. So call this group 1, rename. So like group 1, like that. And then group 2, group 3, like that process up to group 4. Each group, type the name of the group members, right? So you're going to have the name of the group members, so group members, and then your names here. And then here, you're going to have the subjects you are all doing, all the subjects you are doing, okay? All the subjects you are doing, all the exercise you've done, each person write the scores you've had under them, and then find the total. Okay, and then what? Find the total. After that, I need you to do something more. Go online and search how to use average function. How to use average function. So I'm adding it to the, so 6 is the project, so 7 is the research. So find how to use average function in Excel. That's the 7th thing you'll be doing. And then in the groups, use it to find the average here. So use it to find average of each student. So here you have total marks. The next, I need average score. So I need you to use the average function to get the average of each student. So you're going to enter your marks for all the subjects, the class exercises you've done, and then use it to find what? The total score and then the average score. That is all I need you to do on laptop. Make sure by next week, Tuesday, your files are ready on the laptop. When I come back to school, I'm marking those exercises. But for the meantime, by Monday, I want to get the questions 1 to 5. You can send them via WhatsApp. I'll mark them and keep your score. So that's the end of this lesson, and I'm happy that you've enjoyed it. Pause the video anywhere you don't understand, revisit it, and then get the understanding. That is what matters most. I love you guys and stay blessed. Bye bye.